Thank you, Madam Chair. How's that?
That's perfect.
Most people remember January 6th as a day that will live in infamy, and the Capitol was stormed and overwhelmed by thousands of rioters. People died. In fact, we lost another Capitol policeman just this week, very sadly, and we're remembering another one essentially in state today in the Capitol. The thing that I remember also about that day, and you may as well, Madam Chair, you may remember when the senators had gathered. It was about noon on the 6th, and the idea was for senators to walk through the Capitol down to the House chamber to begin the work of certifying the results from 50 states with respect to the election. And I asked her, we usually walk 2 by 2, sort of like Noah's Ark, but I asked Senator Capito if we could just walk together, and she graciously said yes, and we did. And along the way, we talked. I hope you remember this. I certainly do. And we talked about a common agenda that we can work on together. And the idea was that we can have cleaner air, cleaner water, address climate change, and create jobs, a lot of economic opportunity, including in places like West Virginia, my native state. And I found it a very encouraging conversation. I'm also encouraged by the words of Senator Barrasso, a good friend and good partner over the last several years on this committee. He has a close friend from Wyoming who ended up being an Assistant Secretary of the Interior, Rob Wallace. And Rob Wallace just sat right there in our hearing a couple years ago for his confirmation hearing to go to the Department of Interior. Some of you may remember, and Rob Wallace was reminded of the bipartisan nature of this committee and the way we work, whether the chair is Jim Inhofe or Shelley Capito or Tom Carper or John Barrasso. That's the way we have traditionally worked. And that's the way I want to see us continue to work. But Rob Wallace said these words, I'll never forget them. I've used them hundreds of times since. He said, bipartisan solutions are lasting solutions. That's what he said. Bipartisan solutions are lasting solutions. And that's true in this committee, and God willing, it will always be true. I just want to say special thanks to 2 senators from North Carolina, to Richard, welcome. Tom, welcome. We're delighted that you're both able to be here. It's very good of you to come. I also want to just say, we gathered here, first of all, Malvina. Malvina, would you raise your hands? I feel like we're on a football field here, but I know Matt's down here. I don't know who the big guys. Matthew, would you stand up? Would you stand up, Matthew? Go ahead, stand up. Matthew, how are you doing, buddy? Welcome. Thank you so much, both of you, for being here, to be with your husband and be with your dad. We're gathered here today to consider the nomination of Michael Regan, not Reagan, Michael Regan, to serve as the administrator of the Environmental Protection Agency. So I'm reminded a little bit of what we used to do in the Navy. We had hail and farewell events several times a year for those who were coming in to join us in my squadron or those that were leaving. And we're welcoming some new folks on our side. I think Senator Stabenow, I think Senator Kelly Padilla are joining us. And we're saying goodbye, though, to Senator Gillibrand, to Senator Booker, and to Senator Van Hollen. And I just learned here today we're saying goodbye to our friend John Barrasso, which I did not see coming. I was surprised to hear that and disappointed. Pardon? Go, no, Barrasso. You're stuck with us. But I just want to thank John for his leadership over the past 4 years. It's been a joy working with him and just his staff led by Richard. And I want to thank Emma from Mary Frances over here, and she and Richard made a good team, and we got so much done. Very, very proud of what we accomplished and by working together. And I also want to thank you, Madam Chair, and then your staff for your assistance in bringing this hearing together today. And I want to congratulate you on your new leadership position, both of them, one more short-term than the other. But as we discussed last month on January 6th, and as recently as last week, there's a lot of important work ahead for our committee. And I very much look forward to working together as partners in tackling the challenges facing our nation and our planet. So there. And with that said, I want to warmly welcome our nominee, Mr. Regan, and thank him for being here with us today, and also with his wife Malvina and son Matthew. And I want to thank your wife and your son, not just for them being here. I just want to thank you for your willingness to share your husband and your dad with our country. This is really important work. This is going to help determine what kind of planet we live on, and earth we have, and the quality of our life in the days to come. So thank you for sharing him, as you have already shared him with the people of North Carolina. But Mr. Regan, as we all know, Mr. Regan and his family hail from the state of North Carolina, birthplace of my wife, Martha, who Michael may recall is a graduate of Appalachian State University, where her dad taught math and physics for 40 years. And she sends her very best wishes to you and your family on this special day, Michael. Martha and I had the privilege of meeting Michael about a year ago, and as I've gotten to know him in the time since then, I've become convinced that he is the right person to lead the Environmental Protection Agency during this critical time in our nation's history. He's a man of deep faith who believes, as I think all of us do, that we have a moral obligation to be good stewards of this planet on which we live. I believe that Michael Regan is someone who can help unite us in common purpose as we respond to the climate crisis we face as well, as to clean our air, our water, and strive to make sure that we don't leave some of our communities and neighbors behind us in the effort to do so. Currently, Mr. Regan serves as the Secretary of North Carolina's Department of Environmental Quality, a role where he has demonstrated over the past 4 years the power of effective leadership in improving the quality of the air North Carolinians breathe, and their neighboring states as well, and the water that they drink. For proof of this, we need only look at some of his accomplishments during his tenure there. And they include leading the negotiations that resulted in the cleanup of the Cape Fear River, not far from where my wife Martha lived and worked, just getting out of college. He also negotiated and oversaw what's considered to be the largest coal ash cleanup settlement, and I think the history of the United States. And he created North Carolina's first ever Environmental Justice and Equity Advisory Board. Mr. Regan has been able to do these things and much more by bringing people together in common cause while never compromising on his principles. And again, the presence of Senators Burr and Tillis here bear testimonies to that, and we welcome each of you to this hearing. In the Tar Heel State, Michael Regan developed a reputation as a leader who works with Democrats and with Republicans to forge practical solutions that protect the air we breathe, the water we drink, while supporting job creation and economic growth. And as we struggle to put this current recession behind us, that kind of leadership is what we need now more than ever at EPA. It's no secret that the next EPA administrator has his work cut out for him. In addition to addressing the serious environmental issues that are affecting Americans, the next EPA administrator will also be tasked, along with the members of this committee, in helping to rebuild an agency badly damaged at times in recent years by flawed leadership, and an agency suffering from organizational drift and, for the most part, low morale. And one of the keys to accomplishing this will be restoring scientific integrity as a foundation of policy making at EPA, and Michael Regan understands that well. The men and women of EPA need to work with purpose and with dispatch to address the climate crisis facing our nation and our planet. It's real. The threat it poses to our planet is growing worse, not better. The EPA team can do so in part by working with the U.S. Department of Transportation, the auto industry, and others to restore vehicular greenhouse gas emission standards. And as we know, we've had some encouraging developments there, especially with the mobile sources, the auto industry, who are sort of reaching out and saying we want to be part of the solution. I'm very much encouraged by that, just in the past week. The EPA team also needs to implement our new HFC phase-down law and the Toxic Substance Control Act, both authored by members of this committee, and as well as to reverse and replace the oil and gas methane rules and begin work on the next phase of climate rules for power plants, vehicles, and refineries. In addition, EPA needs to ensure cleaner air by reestablishing legal basis for mercury and air toxic standards, and it must better protect human health, as North Carolina has already done, by taking action on certain so-called forever chemicals such as PFOA and PFAS that also foul the groundwater of states like West Virginia, like Delaware, and hundreds of other communities across America. Moreover, in doing this work, EPA must curb the influence of special interests within its scientific advisory bodies. Our new president is calling on Americans to build back better, and to do that, we'll need to redouble our efforts to address the climate crisis, safeguard our air and our water, as well as other natural resources and ensure environmental justice in all of our communities. We must rebuild our infrastructure, roads, highways, bridges, water, wastewater, access to broadband, access to broadband. Those are just some of the parts of our infrastructure that need to be rebuilt. And they shouldn't be partisan issues. They ought to be bipartisan issues, and I think they will be. Most of those are within the purview of this committee. I don't mean to diminish how hard it's going to be. It's going to be a challenge, and the challenges are daunting. But if we do it together, we'll succeed. I believe that Michael Regan is the partner we need at EPA to do these things, and he has a good heart and a good mind. He knows how to assemble, retain, and inspire a team of talented men and women. He has what it takes to help us make progress on many fronts as we seek to protect our planet, and it's happens while creating a more nurturing environment for job creation and job preservation at the same time. That's why President Biden has nominated him for this important spot. So, Mr. Regan, welcome. Thank you for, again, for appearing before us this afternoon and for your willingness to serve our nation as we take on some of the most serious challenges in our history. We look forward to hearing from you today and have confirmed to working with you and those who you'll lead in the years to come. And before I turn it over to Senator Capito, let me just close with these words of Albert Einstein. Albert Einstein used to say, in adversity lies opportunity. Think about that. In adversity lies opportunity. There's no doubt that we face plenty of adversity in this country and on this planet as we gather here today. But along with that adversity comes extraordinary opportunities to do great things for the people whom we are privileged to represent, along with their neighbors, whether those neighbors live on the other side of the street, the other side of town, or the other side of the world. And again, thank you all for giving me a chance to serve with you. And again, I'm thrilled that we're here for this day. Thank you all.
Thank you, Senator.